Welcome to episode 6 of Universe Extended, the review of Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 1 and 2. We are back with our spoiler cast that we call the Universe Extended, where we have a conversation about whatever the popular Star Wars trope or movie or TV show is for the year. Yes, this is a spoiler cast. If you ain't seen it, turn this off now. All right, you've had your warning. Let me bring in my co-host for the night, Mr. JJ, the unstoppable with the worst hat in the world, but the best Star Wars lover I know. Thank you for joining me tonight, JJ. How are you, sir?
Doing all right. Excited to go over Obi-Wan, man.
I am immensely okay. So listen, we're gonna lay this backstory out, and I'm just gonna lay a backstory out because we got 2 episodes to cover, for fuck's sake. But so here it is. It's you know what, Thursday night. I don't remember what I did on Thursday, but you know, whatever I did on Thursday, we were doing a bunch of stuff, and then I'm sitting in the chair, smoking a little bit of whatever I'm doing, having a little bit of whiskey, watching Star Wars Celebration, right? And my son works down the street, but he works second shift. And I texted him and I was like, hey, you're coming over for my birthday tomorrow, right? And he's like, yeah. And I'm going to come over early. We're going to go to lunch and we're going to watch Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or we're going to go buy lunch and then come back and we're going to do something. I was like, all right. And then all of a sudden I'm getting messages in Discord saying, oh my God, Obi-Wan Kenobi's coming out at midnight. And so I Google it. It shows up. So I text my son, hey, it comes out at midnight. Do not go home. You are 5 minutes from my house. Come to my house right now. He doesn't answer. So it's 11 o'clock, right? I texted him at 10:30, 11 o'clock. I know he gets out. About 11:15, I still haven't heard from him. So I call him. And he's like, hey, what's going on? And I was like, where are you? He's like, oh, I'm stuck on the highway. And I'm like, I texted you like an hour ago. Where the fuck are you? Like, Obi-Wan comes out at midnight tonight. And it's a two episodes. Come now. I'm not waiting for you till tomorrow. I'm telling you right now. I don't have to work. Get your ass over here. And so he goes, all right. I got some Taco Bell. So as long as I can eat Taco Bell, I don't give a shit. Whatever, dude. He's like, I didn't buy enough for you. I'm like, that's fine. I've already eaten for tonight. Just come over. We're gonna watch this. So we did. We sat there to watch both episodes. We watched both the episodes. You know, back to back, and he was not like super happy with me. He was a little, like I said, he was a little tired, but I was like, I can't wait till tomorrow to watch that. That's how excited I was to see this.
Yeah, it took me 2 nights to watch this, and it killed me because I had to stay off of Facebook. I had to stay off of Discord just to like not accidentally see any sort of spoiler whatsoever for the series. But it was well worth the wait. I actually really enjoyed the first 2 episodes a lot.
Yeah, you have no idea, man. Like, I am beyond ecstatic for this. I will say though, there is definitely some weird things that I do not like about it. You know, I'm not as upset about Grand Inquisitor's head, like as you can see in that picture below.
I didn't care.
I think it is a little bit of a disconnect, but I don't really think it ruins anything.
No, not at all.
It's just people being picky.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And we're the most pickiest like fans ever in Star Wars. We nitpick everything to hell. So let's start off with episode 1, right? So we're greeted with like a whole entire like backstory of Obi-Wan, starting from when he was in episode 1, going through all the major key points there, the loss of Qui-Gon and everything, going all the way up until present day, right, where he goes drop offs baby Luke over at Owen Lars's house, and he's just like over watching them and stuff like that. While I appreciate that backstory, the one thing I wish that they would include it would have been at least, and I get that it would have been a little bit jarring, but at least certain key points in the Clone Wars series pertaining to his particular story. But I guess it's probably not going to matter much. But at least, you know, his interaction with Anakin during the Clone Wars, as well as Satine or Ahsoka and stuff like that, just to kind of give a reference that there was a lot more that happened to Obi-Wan other than the movies, right? But I mean, would they have gone as far as like doing a live action, like quick scenes from like Clone Wars to do that? I don't think they would have done that, but yeah, that was my only gripe for that beginning part. And then we jump right into the beginning. We're at the Jedi Temple, and Order 66 just happened, and you have a bunch of Padawans who are outside training, and then they get leaded out by their teacher, and they see their teacher gets massacred by a bunch of clones, and they're heading down a hallway for a second, and I'm like, oh my god, is that where Grogu was? Like right down that hallway, and they were coming down, but oh man, and then they cut out. Oh man.
I was surprised that they did that, because it is, I'll tell you, I went back and actually looked at The Mandalorian, and it is the same hallway. It at least it looks like it very closely. Yeah. The difference, though, is I think they would have ruined it if they threw Grogu in there. Like, I think that's a mistake. I think let's separate the two.
Exactly.
And let's keep it separate. Because again, now we would have to go back and try to figure out how young it seems too conflicting.
Yeah.
I will tell you, it's weird because we just had a mass shooting right in Texas, and
oh my gosh, yeah,
they had to put that disclaimer in there. And I'm watching this, and my son goes, Dad, I don't think this is I'm surprised they released this part of the episode. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
That's exactly my first thought too. I was like, wow, this hits kind of hard at home, considering current events, but holy crap. But yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
And I don't want to turn this into a political cast, but I'm just sitting here like, if they had banned lightsabers or if they had less guns and less clones, we wouldn't be in the same situation, would we?
Yeah, right. For real.
But so you're presenting the picture. We're getting down the aisle. Then all of a sudden we see Obi-Wan, in the desert, right? We see him where he lives, which again, I'm 100% sick of Tatooine. I'm sorry. Like, I get that his story has to take place there, but and here's one of the disconnect pieces for me is we know this is 10 years afterwards, right? He doesn't look that much older, in fairness. They did no CGI to change his age to say, he's 10 years older. But we all know who he is in New Hope, right? We all know what he looks like. How the fuck does he go from this one guy to this other, like, white-haired old motherfucker? And I apologize. I should not swear. I don't want to make this.
He gave his youth over to Mon Mothma, and then she became younger in exchange for him being older. That's what happened.
Yeah, but it's weird, right? Like, we do have to admit, that's a weird little take-ish piece away from this, right?
Well, I mean, you never know. I mean, Palpatine got older when he used the Force, and maybe towards the end of it, I mean, he gets white hair from overextending himself on the Horse.
And maybe, or maybe, maybe he has to do it. The other piece, and this is going into Rebels. This is a spoiler cast. I don't care anymore. In Rebels, we see him deal with Maul. I need to know when this piece versus that piece is.
So this is before the events of Rebels. So
okay.
All right. Yeah, we're good there. Now, I did like the tidbit of like them filling like the backstory of what exactly was Obi-Wan doing the whole time while he was watching Luke. Not being a creeper, just watching him from the next sand dune. Oh, he's still alive. Okay. So I do like that he actually went out to go get a job. Now, the animal that they were carving up, was that a crate dragon?
That's what I thought. The first thing I thought was that has to be a crate dragon, because the only thing I could think of that's that big, other than, like some sort of worm that we've never really seen above Earth, it has to be a crate dragon. Now, I don't think they specify it.
No, they don't.
But it does look like it. Maybe I can find a picture a minute.
Yeah, because just the size of the thing, because obviously not the entire creature wasn't out up in the open, and they were just like harvesting the top part of it, and it was a pretty sizable thing. I was like, wow, the only thing that's big enough like that would be like a crate dragon that I know of from canon so far for Tatooine. And I just find it funny that he's able to like work that job and pretty much every day steal a piece of meat and fold it in and just smuggle it out every day. And it's like, it didn't even matter, because like the second day he cuts an even larger slice of meat, which is like a slab, and he still takes it and walks out like nothing. I'm like, wow, like they're paying him crap, but geez.
Well, the question, okay, so I have a couple questions here. God, we could really go into detail, but okay, so the first question I have, right, is if he's stealing that piece to feed his thing and not eating it, he obviously doesn't need it, right? And And the question is he using the Force to protect himself so people can't see him? Right? Like, is he doing some sort of a Force trick where he's like concealing himself so nobody knows, gets his piece of meat, and then unconceals himself?
So part of me thinks that he's doing similar to what Luke did and what Yoda did. Actually, no, more Luke than anything. It's just cut himself off from the Force because of the way that he reacts to the arrival of the Inquisitors. He is a lot more reactionary when he actually sees them than actually feels them when they're coming in. So to me, it feels like he cut himself off of the Force, and that's why it's that much harder for the Inquisitors to find out where he is, because he's not communing into the Force where they could sense his presence for it. It's much later in episode 2, after he actually uses the Force, that all of a sudden Reva can feel his feelings and his thoughts as she's like taunting him later on, because at that point he's reopened his connection to the Force, and he's now in communing with the Force in the event that he does need it.
All right, and that's a good point. I didn't think about that, because the other question I have is, he's living here, able to buy shit from the droids. He spent quite a few credits. Does he have money that he funneled somehow from, you know, the academy, right? Like, where there had to have been money somewhere. Did he somehow have money, and essentially he's hiding it, and he's only taking this job because he needs a cover story? Or does he really poor? Is he just really a poor person?
Hey, Watto's gone, so they now accept Republic credits.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was thinking like how he was able to afford a lot of those things, particularly because the model that he bought, which is actually really great, the T-65 or the T whatever, the Skyhopper, basically whatever Luke was originally like wanting to fly from episode 4. Just seeing that model that they recreated for it, that was freaking awesome. And then I immediately got triggered when Owen Lars just dumps it on the floor, breaking it in front of him. He's like, "Don't give my kid anything else." Like,
yeah, like,
holy crap!
That. Give that to me. Give it to my kid.
I'm sure there are other poor kids in freaking Tatooine that would have enjoyed that freaking chip. Like, come on.
Yeah, why'd you have to break it? So, all right, that's kind of the beginning. We see him trading with Jawas. It feels like they're trying to make Jawas more human, and give them a story. I will say, if I get a fucking Jawa show before I get an Ewok show, I'll be pissed, so you know. Or even before I get like a Wookiee show. Like, give me a Wookiee show. That's what I want. Like, why are we not like talking about Kashith and talking about the Wookiee Revolution and all of this? Like, that's a fucking show I would watch.
I'm sure it's coming. It's going to be all subtitles, though.
It ain't going to come.
It's going to be all subtitles, though, because they're going to speak in pure Wookiee, and all we're going to have is subtitles.
Bring it on. I love it. I watch foreign movies, so, you know, it kind of fits that.
I'm used to that. Yeah, you're right.
All right, so let's fast forward. We then get a surprise appearance from the one and only Leia Organa, right? And I'm telling you, so I did not know this, and I don't know if I just was so far behind on like people spoiling shit. I did not know she was going to be in the show.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, that was a complete surprise to me too. And it was great seeing Jimmy Smits as Bail Organa as well, coming back to reprise that role. But the little Leia, oh man, she was great.
And the best part is we're sitting there. So my daughter is 11, and she's my youngest. And I'm telling you, that's like that's my daughter. Like that, my daughter is like that rebellious-ish. She's a good student, but she is like a cocky little, you know, like, and she has no filter. That's my daughter. And I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like sitting there going, "Beth, you should come out here." That's my partner. And I was like, "You should come out here and watch this." Like that's my daughter right there. I'm telling you right now. But the pure piece of that, and what here's what I don't like about it is that it felt like they were going to go into this Grogu trope, right? Like, we got to save this child. It's a theme, and it's like, why the fuck are we doing this? You know, like, I get the whole theme of Star Wars is Obi-Wan had to save Luke so he could save the world because he fucked up the first time and, you know, like, let the monster loose. But I don't know. There's so much to unpack there. But it just, like, it transitioned the longer in the episode we got. away from being Leia focused, where it's this new Grogu character, and she actually felt like she brought a piece to the story. Though we're gonna get into in episode 2, there's a piece where I disagree. I don't even understand it. But
so
the first episode, good.
I kind of agree with you with the Grogu trope, but at the same time, I felt that she's much more unique as a character. She is her own character rather than just being a set piece for, you know, the main character to develop. And I'm glad they actually chose Leia over Luke getting into trouble, because there's a lot more that we know about Luke than we know about Leia, right? Like, we don't know very much about the early days for Leia, other than she was junior senator for the Galactic Senate, and eventually becoming the senator, replacing her father, and then, you know, the small appearance that she had in Star Wars Rebels, where she was a junior senator at that point. There wasn't very much that we knew about Leia's life on Alderaan, right? And just seeing how she grew up in that area. Although I got to say, you got to be pretty ballsy to live in a giant ass forest with no like land border outside of your house and be like, yeah, sure, go outside and play. It's totally fine. Like, that was the only thing that I'm like, okay, come on. Like, because it took a while for the guards to like track her down in the forest that's like right outside of her house. And I'm like, okay, you're giving your kid a little too much freedom there. But, you know, that was about it. So.
What I liked about the transition, and I agree with you, I like that they didn't do the whole Luke thing. Like, I don't care about Luke's background anymore. I don't care in the aspect of, it's nice to see Star Wars become more inclusive, right? Like, we're actually going to tell a female empowerment story. And like, the tragedy of the 70s and the 80s is that Lucas focused on the slave Leia, you know, like, we're gonna just emphasize her body. But if you knew Carrie Fisher, there's a million times more to her than that bullshit. Like, she was a very intelligent person. She had a lot to say that a lot of people would overlook. And for me, this piece of it, like this piece where it says, okay, hey, why don't we try to be more inclusive? Like, and this is where I will disagree with you and Charles on the Star Trek thing. Like, yeah, Star Trek may not have always the epic pieces or the large thing, but Star Trek has been about inclusivity since its origins. It's been about challenging standard norms. It's about all these other things. And again, I guess Charles is not here, so I can get political and nobody will say anything. This, to me, and again, I hate Disney to some extent, but to me, this is Disney's attempt at saying, why don't we actually allow the people writing the story to tell pieces of themselves, to bring in a more inclusive dynamic of what our world truly is? Like, if you think about it and you get past this little narrow-minded view that we all have and say, if this was a galaxy-wide type thing, right? The amount of different races, different species, different genders that are out there, like, it's insane. And like, our Star Wars, and again, I hate saying this because I'm sure the fanboys will shit all over me, but Star Wars has always been a very narrowly set of ideologies, and I've always personally struggled with that. That's always been something that has bothered me as an individual, because of some of that nature of things. And while I don't need a show to preach to me, I need a show to just be inclusive. I just need a show that genuinely understands where it should be. And in this type of a universe, at this fucking point, we shouldn't be sitting there saying we don't want to tell we don't want to tell the girl's story. Like Leia's a very interesting character that has been overshadowed a million times over. And my excitement in this series is somewhat based on that young girl, right? It really, like, that is a hinging point, and I really hope, just kind of like what we saw in Bad Batch, I really hope that this pivotal Leia, like, we get more into that piece of it.
Yeah, I do think that once she's returned, then that will probably be the end for that, because they'll probably focus more on the Obi and Anakin like dynamic part of it. I do. So anyway, just before I go off on a tangent, so just seeing the introduction of Reva and seeing her interaction with the other Inquisitors, it's a stark contrast with how the Inquisitors treat each other versus like a group of Jedis working together, right? And just seeing the dynamic was just very, very different because they're all vying for power, they're all vying for position for it, and that's basically the culture that the Empire had set up once the Empire took over, right? You know, a bunch of mobs and everything playing these grand like political games, and we see a lot of that in the Throne books, of like mobs setting up each others to fall just so they can find favor with the Emperor and stuff like that. And it's similar with the Grand Inquisitors and Vader, right? Now, Reva, from what I gathered, Reva was one of those children in the intro scene that was in the temple when she witnessed Order 66 happen. And that's the only way that I can see so far, based on the current information that we have from Clone Wars and everything, as her only way of her knowing Obi-Wan and Anakin.
She would shit, man. You're going into episode 2 now, bro. Like you transitioned into episode 2. like okay, yeah. So Reva somehow knows that Darth Vader is Anakin, right? Now,
yeah.
What you're dropping, that's pretty. Oh my god, you're killing me.
That's my only way. The only way I could reconcile the fact that she knows anything about that.
Yes, because it's weird, because the Inquisitors traditionally, from my understanding, are not supposed to know who fucking Vader is. Like nobody is genuinely really supposed to know. And this is a theme in Rebels, right? This is not just a theme like in anything else. It's a Rebels theme.
Thrawn books.
In Thrawn books, right there. You know, like it's a big theme throughout, because a Skywalker is something. God, we're getting into Thrawn now, but Thrawn, and they talk about Skywalkers, are not what Luke and Vader and Anakin and all these other people are. Like they're just people that can navigate time and travel, you know, the different spaces through hyperspace, right? And I don't agree. I guess, how about this? I will reserve my thoughts per se, but I don't 100% agree with you that that's how she knows him. I feel that there's some sort of an intelligence brief that was spoiled that somehow she got her hands on. And I could go back to like the Thrawn, and like Admiral Sloane is a character in Thrawn, right? And there's quite a bit of discussion about that. And there's discussion about, I can't remember the other character, but there's another somewhat admiral that he has to deal with. And there's ways to get briefings and things that are like super private that people got a hold of in the Empire. And my theory, because the reason I disagree with you a little bit, is because she would have had to been a teenager at minimum in the temple. And Anakin went and slaughtered all the younglings, but we don't talk about the teenagers. We don't talk about any of that other piece, right? Like that other larger piece.
My guess is that Anakin didn't kill all the younglings, and my reasoning for this is because of the existence of the Inquisitors. We know that Grand Inquisitor was a temple guardian at one point before he fell to the dark side. And then Obi-Wan's comment about other Jedis that fell to the dark side and joined the Empire. It stands to reason that a couple of them could have come from the Jedi Temple, if not other temples around the Republic.
But I don't feel they would have been younglings at all, though, or apprentices. Like, I maybe, but okay, go back to your Jedi Guard thing, right? That makes sense. If Reva was a Jedi Guard, okay, I could see her turning to the Force type thing. I have a harder time seeing her as a youngling and somehow growing up to be a ruthless Grand Inquisitor in the Empire. I mean, we've seen some of that a little bit before when we talk about Rebels and when we talk about Resistance, but I feel that that's a bigger stretch personally in my mind with Reva than her being part of some sort of an inner circle. That I feel Palp had a lot more inner circles, and Anakin was maybe a strong play, and that's how they make it out to be. But I have a feeling he had a lot more contingency plans than we know about. And I think that's what they're going to bank on, which I'm not super excited for all the time, because I hate that Palp is somehow this large mastermind all the time. Because if you read the books, you know that that's not always the case. He's sometimes has dumb luck.
Well, I mean, if you think about the progression of Palpatine and during the Clone Wars, his influence spanned across the galaxy, because at one point the Jedi, before Palpatine came into power, had the ability to see things in the Force, in the vision, and as he grew in power in the dark side, he was able to negate the ability of the Jedi to sense things happening over long distances. And it came to the point that the Jedi Council had to inform the Senate that they lost the ability to sense things long distance using the Force because of the cloud of the dark side. So it does stand to reason that Palp's influence is even greater now that he has his throne in Coruscant, where he can basically insert his influence over the galaxy to the point to maybe disrupting stuff like that in like overall in the Force. Like that's my reasoning for that. So yeah,
it could be. I still don't think it justifies Reva being a youngling and then all of a sudden being an Inquisitor. I don't know. I don't think 10 years.
Maybe. It's still early. It's still early in the series. It's still early.
I think it's a little too early to tell. All right.
So going to the end of episode 1, Bail Organa makes a surprise appearance because he knows exactly where Obi-Wan, in which cave he was hiding. Oh my God, that guy we needed him back in 2001 to find Osama. Anyway, he found Kenobi inside of his cave and basically strong-arms him and convincing him to go find Leia because it was his responsibility as well to overlook the child. I get for plot point that they had to go push that particular direction and like make him feel guilty because that was Luke's sibling. But at the same time, it's like, if I was in that position, I'd be like, look, I know she's important, but she's also your responsibility as well. Since you're the one who decided to take the girl, you should also be going out with me to go find my daughter or your daughter. But yeah, like I kind of felt like the reasoning for Kenobi to go out and go find Leia because of that, like that felt a little bit weak as a plot point. But like, and then he heads over to I don't even remember the name of the planet. What was the name of the planet that he ends up going to for episode 2?
Daku or Dayu or something like that.
Okay. And then we get to see Tamura Morrison again as a fallen ARC trooper. And I wanted to see if they were going to pursue that a little bit because I wanted to know which ARC trooper in particular that was, to see like what happened to it, because it was kind of sad to like see him be like, spare change for a Clone Wars veteran, and shaking his helmet and stuff. And you can see the pity in Obi-Wan's eyes, like wanting to help him out, but he couldn't do anything more than give him a few credits. Like that part there, like kind of broke my heart. Like I'm like, man, like Obi-Wan to see his fellow comrade in arms, a person that he probably fought alongside at one point, and now they're begging on the streets, like in his uniform. Like that was sad.
Yeah, and I think that was a weird ad, personally. Like I like the nod back that we got, but I feel like it was a little bit of a I don't know. And maybe this will come up later, and maybe this is just a foreshadowing that we're kind of getting, right? Which is good. If it's a foreshadowing, I'm okay with it. I felt it was a weird moment to bring it back. And I get, because again, I get why Obi-Wan has to do this, but at the same token, like if you've read any of the books that have Ahsoka in it, you can understand the difference between an Ahsoka Jedi and what Obi-Wan's doing. And like, my personality says, fuck Obi-Wan, you're an asshole and a piece of shit. Like, that's where I feel, especially because you're one of the most powerful Jedi, for fuck's sake, in the universe. Like, I mean, you're there. You are, hands down, like, one of the top Jedi, period. Like, Yoda, he don't even have shit on you. Because Yoda just can live. But Obi-Wan, you made a mistake, but I don't feel it's your mistake. And again, this is going to be the Clone Wars discussion that we can have. But I don't know. I felt it was a little out of place, personally. I like the nod back. I understand why they did it. I hope it has some relevance a little bit later on, but I don't know. It was very emotional, because if you go back to season 7 of Clone Wars, I mean, and I'll tell you the episode where Ahsoka has to part ways with Rex and the heads on the things on a stake. I still cry every time I see that episode. That is,
it's heartbreaking.
That is the genuine, true, like, and I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me, but that episode is better than every episode of Book of Boba Fett we've ever seen. Just like, I don't, whoever wrote those, take those people and have them write for fucking Obi-Wan, have them write for every other Star Wars thing. That's good writing. Like, that's taking like a piece of a book and giving it to me, with it just being a TV show. They did a fantastic job with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's move into because I don't think there was anything big. So what, Flea was in it. I don't care. Whatever, great. You know, whatever. I don't care.
The whole scene with the fake Jedi, that was actually really funny. Just him using the magnets, and then I'm using a Jedi mind trick over the radio.
Yeah. Now I have a question. Did you think that at the beginning, before you saw the end, did you think that he was actually just like an evil Knievel, or not evil Knievel, but like an evil person, like setting these people up to go get slaughtered? Like, my whole thought is, man, this motherfucker is shady as shit, and he's literally taking people's money and just setting out to get slaughtered by the Empire. Like, that's the first thing I thought.
That's what I thought too. I thought, like, man, he's just sending him to go get like either enslaved by like a cartel syndicate or something like that, or the Empire's just going to go collect them somewhere. But yeah, no, I thought that too at first, and then at first I thought he was a fallen.
You know who that guy
Jedi.
is, right?
He was in Internals, and he's actually a comedian as well in real life. But yeah,
he's so much more than that, man. He is so. He's such an amazing dude. Like, I love that guy. Like, me and my son sat there. I didn't know that dude was going to be in this either. And when he showed up, my son's like, "Hey, you know who that is?" I was like, "Yes, I know who that is." And he's like, "You know who that is?" And I was like, "Yes." That dude is one of my favorite comedian. Like, I love that guy so much. And he is such a brilliant character, and bringing him in the way they did with the lines they gave him, just perfection. Like, oh my God, he could play any character.
Even when he went to go confront Reva and she force chokes him, he's like, "Wow, you did that without magnets."
Yeah, I know. It's so awesome. And like, some of that has to be him. Like, he's negating some of that writing, you know, that they're getting. So like, some of that is maybe not improv, but some of that's him driven. Like,
his delivery of those lines. That's what makes it great. Now, the one thing that I was like, first off, like Kenobi getting captured in the beginning, and then he uses the spice bomb to get out of it and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he absorbed some of that. So I'm wondering how much of the episode after that is his interpretation of what he's thinking in a spice stream versus like what's actually happening. Because he was in that cloud of spice, like dead center, for a good minute before he got his mask up to like protect him from the effects of it. So I was wondering that for a second. And then the other part is just seeing Reva's determination to go capture Obi-Wan. Like, she had like a real hard like determination to go capture him, up to the point of freaking sending out a bounty on him with this picture to everybody in the center to completely define the Grand Inquisitor's orders, which is her superior officer, like going all the way to that point. And I did have a concern to the point where she actually stabs him with a lightsaber, and then I'm like, wait a minute, Maul's been cut in half, so he's fine. He's alive. he's fine.
All right.
So, yeah.
All right. So let's unpack that a little bit. So let's unpack a little bit of that. So here's my theory, because I didn't tell you my whole theory on Reva. My theory is that she is Vader's apprentice, his first attempt at an apprentice. That is 100% my theory. I don't know if that's confirmed in any way, shape, or form, but the theory would be is that Vader has, and the problem is Vader's new at this, right? And whenever you take an apprentice on as a Sith, like, you don't know everything, and you can't control everything. And because of where he's at in this, if you think about the rule of two, and you think about everything about Siths and all this other shit, right? You think about, they immediately gravitate towards, how do I replace my master and become that person, right? That's how all this shit gets translated. And maybe it's a little too early, right, for that. But if fucking Anakin had how many years, 10 years to think about this. This is 10 years in the making. He could be secretly have selected somebody as a Sith apprentice to go after him. Therefore, it solves the ingenuity of her knowing who he is, right?
Oh, yeah,
because that fixes that whole thing right there. It's done and gone.
Okay.
It fixes it when they kill her off at the end of the season, which we don't know will happen, but I'm pretty sure it will. So that fixes that. It fixes the fact that Grand Inquisitor can continue to live on, because we know, based on bringing Chopper and all these other things that we saw this weekend, there is almost a less than a 5% chance Grand Inquisitor is dead. Like, there's just no way that they're going to end him and make him not a part of the show. Like, it makes sure almost no sense to do that.
Yeah.
You know how much canon they're going to kill. And Rebels is the first thing that they brought aboard Disney. That's like one of the first majorly produced things. And Grand Inquisitor is a huge part of that. Or maybe not huge, but you know what I mean. I mean, he's a big enough part that you don't cut him out.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's my theory on Reva. So unpacking your thought that yes, people survive more. I agree with you. Shoving the lightsaber through him falling on the floor. A lot of people say if you go back and look at it, and we could go back and look at those pictures, they do genuinely look like he's dead. Like, it does genuinely look like that. But we all know it's Star Wars. I mean, if Boba Fett can come back from a Sarlacc pit, we can have Grand Inquisitor come back from being shoved a lightsaber in his gut. Just period.
Yeah, exactly. So I am excited to see how else they develop it. I do love that Obi-Wan went the more uncivilized way and tried to like shoot people off the roof and completely missed all his shots. And then until he was like forced to just like still continue the Jedi way, just be evasive and as much as possible, and just try to avoid conflict as much as he can to protect the to protect Leia and make sure that he got the hell out of there. If I'm mistaken, the next episode is on Wednesday, right?
That's what I heard. Yeah. I guess I didn't look online to see if that's true or not, but that's what my son was telling me.
Yeah, I am excited to see how they're going to develop it so far. Just seeing like the pieces right now, it's like, you know, the way that they intentionally set up the beginning intro for Obi-Wan. He's constantly being reminded of his past, of everything that's happened, you know, between the clone trooper, he you know, the ARC trooper that I saw there in the planet, and also, you know, his conversations with Owen, and just everything that he sees. Like he wants to, it's like physically pains him to not be himself and help people as he was as a Jedi, and now he has to live like a totally different life, and you can see it taking a toll on him, because he knows that if he goes back, he's going to be discovered, and as powerful as he is, he can't save everybody.
Nope. So, and I think one of the things here too, right, that we have to talk about a little bit is the fact that I like that they're reminding him. So let's go back to the clone trooper, where I said, hey, this is kind of weird. I guess if you rethink about it in a different light, with him being demonstrated why his past life was bullshit, and why the Jedi Council became bloated, and why, when we talk about a revolution and we talk about these things, and again, I guess I'm getting a little political here, but when we talk about these type of things, when we want change, and sometimes the only way to get change is through violence, this all makes sense, because it's coming back to him saying, y'all know that you were all complacent in this, right? You all, like, again, yes, he's the Sith Lord, but you did let all these warning signs go. All of them. And there was a, like, this shit can happen. This shit is real, right? Like, I'm sorry. And if you're a Trump lover, then you don't have to watch the show anymore. But Trump and how he was orchestrating things, and then we had the insurrection on January 6th. Like, a lot of that is very reflective of what an insurrection can look like, right? And that's not the insurrection I want. I don't need that. Like, I don't want that guy as the guy to come to take power over everything else, you know? And it's a good reminder of, you know, where Obi-Wan came from, how he was able to, you know, like, go back and I hope we get a reflection where it's like, that's why we have a different Obi-Wan in New Hope. You know, even though it's kind of a little bit of a stretch, because I'm pretty sure George Lucas did not write A New Hope and say, here's another 50 years of, you know, like shit you can, you know, fit into here to analyze it. But that's a big thing. And like, again, this is a harder discussion to say, like to some extent I'm an anarchist and I'm a socialist and I'm like this big guy that's like for revolutionary change. But this is what happens when you have incorrect revolutionary change right here. This is what happens. You get the empire, you get the Nazis, you get all these other crazy things. And like I feel that this story that they're trying to tell is going to put Obi-Wan in a reflection mode where he can kind of see, here's where some of our past mistakes are and how do we get there. And that's where like Ahsoka comes into this. Ahsoka's this new hope. She's rebelled against them. She, like, go back and watch the Clone Wars. Like, she is literally, like, I disagreed with my son, but I now have to agree with him. She is probably the best character, hands down, in the Clone Wars. Period. Because she saw this coming, warned people, and was told to shut the fuck up. And now look where we are. We have a bunch of murdered kids. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep.
Sorry. There you go. Hey, did I bring it down for you? Other than that, this show, in my opinion, hands down, is very well written. The acting is amazing, and I am actually extremely excited about this, probably more than I was even about The Mandalorian. Like I don't want to be this excited about this because The Mandalorian's a new story, but
yeah,
there's so much that I feel they're putting into this show that we have not gotten before in such a large dose at one point that I feel this show could become revolutionary to Star Wars. Just personal opinion.
This series is running what, 12 episodes, right?
No, like I think it's only 6 or 7.
Okay,
that's Andor. No, that's Andor.
Okay, all right.
Andor is
because I'm wondering. I was wondering
12.
like how much of Vader we're actually going to see in the series so far. Because I mean, obviously they show Vader waking up to feeling the presence of Obi-Wan again at the end. But I'm just wondering like how much they're going to.
I feel he's going to show up next week. That's my theory. He's going to show up in this. Episode 3 is going to have Vader, even if it's just for like a little bit. My theory is he's going to show up right away.
I wonder if they'll go into like any sort of like backstory of like what happened after episode 3, like to Vader, like what he's been doing since then. So
my theory is we'll get a montage. That's what we'll get. Some sort of a montage of what Vader's been doing, and then I think we'll get more. And I think that's because of Vader and Obi-Wan are like these iconic characters, right? Like if you do it right, that's where these people exist. I don't know. I think my theory is we're going to see Vader. I think we're going to see Vader starting next episode, and then in episode 4 we're going to get quite a bit of Vader. That he's going to start to monopolize that screen time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Catherine, good point about Barriss. Yeah, she's the counterpoint to Ahsoka. Yeah, you're right. She's still alive, right? As far as I know.
Yes, they did not kill her. She was jailed in Clone Wars, if we remember right. She was taken, but they did not execute her. Oh my God. She could come out to be oh man, if she made an appearance in this series, like I think
they're holding her for Ahsoka. That's what I think, that they're gonna hold her for Ahsoka. That's it.
Okay. How about this theory? If they make Thrawn a side piece and make Barriss the main bad guy in Ahsoka, I'm okay with that. Like I love Thrawn,
that's fine.
But give me a little bit of Barriss. Oh man, yeah. Why is Barriss 3 points in X-wing for fuck's sake? And she's the devil. She's now 4. She was 3. She's now the devil. But no, Catherine, that's actually a really good point. I guess I didn't think about that because Barriss is such a small point in Clone Wars compared to everything else that I think it's a easily forgotten point. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you tease Barriss in this. I think you bring Barriss in, because think about it. If we're going to talk about Obi-Wan's shame, Barriss is like, she's up there for the shame of the Jedi Council. Like she was very clearly a Sith under their nose, or like on the dark side.
If they do bring Barriss for Obi-Wan, and I don't see them doing that, mainly because if you remember the beginning of Rebels, one of the missions that they did is that they found out that a Jedi Master had been captured by the Grand Inquisitor, and they went to go try to rescue her, only to find that it was the bones of Luminara Unduli. What if Barriss was used in addition to the Grand Inquisitors to go find her, trap her, and kill her former master?
I can see it. I can see it. Yep.
That'd be good.
I just really hope they make that Ahsoka book like canon again. Like that book is so good.
Yeah, that book was really good, and I have it signed by Ashley Eckstein. It's fantastic.
Good for you. Fucker, all your shit. Yeah. So, but okay. Let's talk a little bit about the. Like, okay, hold on. Before we end, I don't know if you have to work tomorrow. I don't have to work tomorrow, so.
Yeah. Okay. A little time. Yeah.
All right. So, if you think about this, right? Like with Barriss not being murdered by the Jedi Council, they keep her alive. They imprison her. They do whatever they have to do. Order 66. They could have known. Palp could have known, right, that she was part of, like, already on this path, right? And she's just the anti-revolutionary of, she's just saying, I'm going to take action more strongly than, somebody else is, than Ahsoka is, right? She's there saying, I want to upset this medium norm, and then gets manipulated by Palp to be part of this. She could actually have been a huge piece of all of this mining and all of this, even if she doesn't appear in any of the other canon stuff. But really, she could come about. And if you think about it, right? If you think about it, with her being an appearance in Obi-Wan as a testament to say, hey, F you, and your past, like your past is horrible. I took a different path. We could see not a redemption story, but a sacrificial type story, right? And like a lot of people are like, well, we don't want the people are complaining that they feel Reva's going to become a redemption story and sacrifice her life. I don't think that's the case at all.
I don't think so.
I agree with you. I don't think that is. But Barriss, on the other hand, 100% could be.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends. It depends how they build their story. There's still a lot we don't know of what happened to her. That's, I mean, they would have to do a lot of backbuilding, honestly.
I believe that she's not dead at all. And I believe that for the pure fact that when they say execute Jedi, once she commits her betrayal, technically she's not a Jedi anymore. Just like if we think about it, why is Ahsoka still alive? Is Ahsoka a really good Jedi? Sure. But Ahsoka is not a Jedi. She is openly admitting she's not a Jedi. Like, she is openly making that distinguished piece of that. And if you think about it, JJ, if you think like true, all the way back, the way that they are determining who's a Jedi and who's not is based on like a roster that Palp gave them. That's the only logical answer.
Probably from the archives of the Republic. Yeah, you're right.
Yep. And if Palp created that list, he could say they're not part of it. And if Ahsoka removed herself from that list, now we have somebody alive that probably shouldn't be.
Yeah,
Barriss removed from that list, we have somebody alive that probably shouldn't be.
That's true. Good soldiers follow orders. Yes.
Not anymore. All right. I don't know. I was excited. I feel very exhausted now. I'm very excited by that show. I'm not as excited. How about this? I'm not excited about Andor as I was about Obi-Wan. Now that I've seen Obi-Wan,
I'm excited for Andor just because we're going to see new scum crew that's going to be completely like added on somehow through new expansion, and a couple of more like renegades that will be added on to Rebels somehow. So it'll be more characters that we'll see. I mean, they might even have enough. I mean, I don't know why they don't have it already, but enough to see like a full Mon Mothma crew for Rebels somehow, and then finally Thrawn somehow. Just by them expanding the story and the character and seeing more of them. We'll see these out in 2 years, most likely, on X-Wing on our table. That's what I'm excited for. So
yeah, and the neat thing is that in the past, FFG has been given previous knowledge of things that they're not allowed to share, that they assign confidentiality agreements for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping AMG was given that same rights, and we get some of these different characters in X-Wing that we don't see other places, right?
Yeah.
And like, I would like a Reva. Give me a few more Inquisitors in Empire. How about that? Like, let me have a few more.
I was surprised not to see the Ty ones actually, that they flew in Rebels.
Yeah, I was too, and I was a little questioning of why they're all flying around in this weird command ship. You know, like, I don't know. It's Lambda Light.
They felt like the Knights of Ren almost, right? In their one transport, all traveling together. Like that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, Deslin says Ninth Sister Reaper. I'm down with that. Yep. I'm down with give me a Reaper pilot that's a Force user. Hell yeah.
Oh, a Jedi interceptor pilot. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, give me an interceptor. Oh my god, give me an interceptor Jedi. Hell yes. I would love that. How about this? Give me a Jedi defender pilot that's not Vader that I can have for 7 or 8 points.
Hey.
Tasty. God, I got to put Vader back on the table. Actually, that's what you need to do. JJ, we need to play. I should have switched my list. Is it midnight yet? Can I switch my list on Scott's stream?
Yeah, he's already posted pairings. So if you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't. No, I've been casting with you. We've been hanging out. The break I took was the pee. No. All right. With that being said, thank you all for joining us. We are going to do this every week. That a new episode comes out. Actually, we should probably resurrect this again, man. We should probably make this a thing. We could talk about the Thrawn books, the High Republic books, and stuff like that. 5 years before this. So yeah, speaking of the Fallen Order sequel is set the same time as Kenobi. That's true. That is very true. And we are seeing that they are bringing that video game into canon, into actual live Star Wars shows. So like we have a BD1 in Mando, right? So they're not afraid to touch something that's outside of their, I don't know, what do we call it? What the format outside of their normal format. So
yeah, exactly.
That would be cool. Cool if we got a Cal. Yeah, man, can you imagine a live action fucking Fallen Order show? Yeah.
Or at least seeing,
give me that.
At least seeing the character come to life somehow in some of the other series. Like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. I kind of want a Cal pilot too, but we'll see. Maybe I should just play Legion. Damn it. I don't want to paint anything. Who wants to paint stuff for me for cheap? I'll buy it. They just got to paint it cheap.
Hey, paint miniatures. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not cheap. No offense to him. I'm not saying he's not overpriced by any means, but I don't have the cash to pay somebody to paint and buy painted.
I mean, you can sell that China cabinet.
Yeah, well, I already when I went upstairs for break, all my stuff was out on the kitchen table saying, "Hey, look at all my new China." Like, all right. Well, if you break one of those models, they're worth between $20 and $60. Just as an FYI, honey. Please be nice to them. I will put them away tomorrow.
All right, let's call it a night, dude.
All right. With that being said, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for joining us for the Universe Extended review of Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes 1 and 2. We will be back next week talking about episode 3, hopefully. We will determine, maybe we won't do it Sunday. Maybe we'll do it Friday. Maybe we'll do, I don't know when the hell we're going to do it. But at minimum, we will definitely do it on Sunday if we don't do it earlier. So with that being said, thank you all. Have a good night. Catch us during the week for Kyber Cup and next Sunday for our normal podcast show. Have a good night, everyone.
See ya.